do this a little bit.
Let's go take a look. Hey, welcome back to the channel. We are about almost halfway through the suspension upgrades on the 74 Bronco. Now, we're gonna jump on the back. That's why we've got the back wheels off here. But we learned something last night. We got it all kind of put together. Front's on the ground. It looks great. It's the perfect lift for this wheel tire package, so we're really happy. Customer even stopped by, but he stopped by for a reason, and you can't tell here. I'll put a picture in here, but as I was finishing up on the front of this, I noticed some clues about what's going on with maybe the suspension and what happened with it prior to us getting our hands on it. You see on here this slip in the front drive shaft. The painted part is where we took the drive shaft out, cleaned it up, painted it, and made it all nice. And then the part there that you see right there that's not painted, that's the extra slip that needed to come out of that drive shaft in order to have it connect correctly to the front diff because of the additional lift. Now let's go back here, take a mental picture how much of that slip section of the shaft is showing, and then let's go back here and look at the rear drive shaft. That's pretty lengthy amount of slip there. Well, and ever since this Bronco first got here, I couldn't tell because it had flares on the back, so that means somebody's gone in there and cut out the opening bigger than it was, and it didn't have flares on the front, so it always looked a little disproportionate, but it looked good. I really liked the look. However, it always kind of had a, you know, I'm a hot rod air shock type vibe to it. And so the bottom line is we got the front set back down on the ground. We rolled her back and forth just a little bit and bounced on it just a little bit. And the end result was, if you measured, and we did, from the stainless at the rear axle to the front axle, the front was only up 3/4 of an inch. And this is a 2.5 inch lift. And I believe we got all of 2.5 inches out of the front. So what I believe is going on here is, I think, and it really doesn't look like it, but I think maybe sometime in the past, either, and I don't know, some of you Bronco guys jump on here and gals and let me know, there's an overload here. I don't know if Broncos came with overloads or not, or if that was an ad, or if sometime prior to us getting our hands on this, somebody has put a leaf spring or heavier leaves in the back because they were going to tow with this. John, the owner of this Bronco, did have a hitch on it, but I believe he made the hitch. And I don't think, I'm sure, he didn't do anything to this, to the suspension to facilitate hauling things. He just put a hitch on the back of it. I think it's probably had some help in the suspension arena prior to us getting our hands on it. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means we've got a little bit of guesswork to do. We've got brand new 10 leaf Wild Horses 2.5 inch lift springs sitting right here. We're going to use those, but we don't want this thing just sitting all, you know, cattywampus. We don't want it cattywampus like this. We certainly don't want it cattywampus like that. So plan A is we're going to go ahead and tear this down, drop the differential out, and we'll do our usual cleaning and stuff down in here. We've got a lot of that to do. Leaky shocks, by the way, so we've got brand new Rancho RS 9000s for that. But I think initially what we're going to do is we're going to blow these spring packs apart, and our first attempt is going to be, we're going to take the bottom 2 short leaves out. Mind you, no overload here. And then we're probably going to come up and skip maybe 3, and we'll take this guy out. I don't know if that's going to be too much or not, but that's kind of where I'm leaning. We might just start with 2 and put it on the ground and see, but you know, I don't want to waste, I'd like to get close with the guests because I don't want to waste a bunch of time and labor doing this, but it is what it is. First step though, we need to get all blown apart. To do that, we got to do rear drive shaft. We got to disconnect the park brake gables. We're going to take those off way up here yonder because it's a pain to take them off out of the drum brakes, which you've already done. Shocks, and then spring hanger bolts, and brake line, and then we'll be out of here. But we're going to get some PB soaking on some of these bolts and put you guys on a tripod and get this torn apart. Wasn't too bad. Everything came out about like we expected it to. No real headaches. The U-joint straps were a little crusty, and you know, those fine thread bolts, they get just gunked up with all kinds of stuff. But here's what we're talking about on these leaf springs. So the rusty one is what we took out. The black one underneath is what we're gonna put in, and we've got our 2.5 just in material. So I think I've adjusted my first plan a little bit. We're still going to take the 2 bottom ones But then we're going to go all the way up here, and we're going to take number 3 from the top. That pretty much carries weight all through that spring pack. And we'll see what that does. Hopefully that gets us pretty darn close. So to take these apart, it's not rocket science. These have a lot of these extra keepers, which is really nice, but they're bolts. There's nuts on the other side. We'll take all those free, and then we'll clamp this with the giant C-clamp, take this center bolt out, and then they'll just start to spread apart. Then we'll remove the ones we don't want, and then we'll squeeze them back together, reinsert our center pin, and throw them under there. Throw some tires on it, jump up and down on it a couple times, and see what it looks like. Gotta try and control the release a little bit. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's get out from under this vise here. Alright, so it looks like we've got pretty good arch in all of them, minus maybe this top leaf, and it's a locator more than anything. Our second leaf is also double wrapped. They call this a military wrap on that end. So those are going to stay together no matter what. And then here's our third leaf that we're targeting. And then here's our 2 bottom ones. And other than that, the only one that doesn't have a keeper on one end or the other is the third one up from the bottom. So we're going to stick with our original plan, taking the bottom 2 and number 3. That's going to be our first try. We slide these 2 out of here. Just kind of hang out. And then here's number 3. So he's coming with us. No more. And then on this spring pad, I'll just sit back in there, that's fine. And then on the bottom end, these 2 are no more. And we just put our bolt back through. Our pin, they call these a pin, not a bolt. Put this on this side so you guys can see. Right. You need to go that way more. Oh, too much. There, that's good. We'll just clamperoo them down here is what we're supposed to do. You see clamps walking a little bit on me. There we go. We're getting enough threads this time. That's building your own spring pack, volume 1. Now we got to do that with the other one, and then we will toss everything in there and see what it looks like. Okay, we are back together very loosely. We're just using old hardware. Nothing. I mean, that bolt's not even in the right direction, but it's just so we can put weight on everything. We just rattled these down, the U-bolts down with a little bit of an impact, and we're ready to give it a shot. Right now it looks like it's got a lot of arch, but these springs I know are pretty flexy, so hopefully they'll flatten out and give us what we need. I'm gonna throw some wheels and tires on quick and bring you back. What do you think? This is, I just dropped it off of the jack. Let's first of all crawl back here. Do this a little bit. That might help settle. Oh, what does that look like? Wow, we might have gotten it on the first try here. So, what are we missing? Actually, we're missing interior, but minus the seats, which is probably at most maybe 60 pounds. The rest of the interior's in here, actually. Let's do this though. Yeah, it's right back here. We're gonna drop the tailgate, and because we're gonna put the same size spare tire and wheel on this hot rod. So let's lift this up in here. So that's how she's gonna roll down the whole highway. What's that do to us? Boy, oh boy, that's about as level as you could possibly get it, I think. Let's do some measurements. At the back axle, 44.5 to the stainless. 43 3/4. So we're 3/4 of an inch higher in the back now. We were 3/4 lower in the back. I think we hit it. I think it's a home run. We're gonna rock it just with that combination right there. So the good news is we hit it on the first try. The not great news is now we got to take everything back out of there, but that's okay. We're going to clean everything up now, just like we did on the front. Clean the wheel wells, scrape off all the asphalt, and wire, wheel, all the frame and everything else. Power wash the third member, the axle assembly, get it all cleaned up. Everything's gonna get Pour 15 and a semi-gloss overcoat. This is pretty decent. So we took out, again, the 2 smallest ones, and then we went 3rd from the top. I love it. I think it's perfect. And let's blow it apart and get to cleaning.